Purport. The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world, but they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary of all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because he is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereof. No one is greater than he. Is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Svetasvara Upanishad 6-7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishwaranam Param Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent laws of material nature. Unless one understands this bare fact, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness. The 5th chapter is a particular explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. To walk in Krishna consciousness is to walk with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such walk is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is the path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to walk in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute, and the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servitor of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes into contact with Maya illusion due to the desire to lord it over Maya. And that's the cause of his many suffering. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life even when one is within the jurisdiction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more is free from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial towards anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which helps one control the senses in every respect and conquer the influence of desire and anger. And one who stands fast in Krishna consciousness, controlling the above-mentioned passions, remains factually in the transcendental stage, or Brahma Nirvana. The Eightfold Yoga mysticism is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. There is a gradual process of elevation in the practice of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. But this only prefaces perfection by devotional service, which alone can award peace to the human being. It is the highest perfection of life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So once again, I welcome everybody to this very wonderful Bhagavad Gita class. Bhuktaram Yajna Tapasam Savaluka Maheshwara Suidam Sava, Utanam, Chantamam Santim, Richati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. So that is it. So Krishna is telling us categorically his own position, which we should all understand very clearly. He's telling us now that he is the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerity, and the supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and at the same time that is the only benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. And it's only then we can attain peace, from the material miseries. So what's the cause of material miseries? Originally, we are spiritual entities. Even at all times, we are spiritual entities. And we are eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. And also, because we are spiritual entities, we are living in the spiritual world with the Supreme Lord. But the moment we become envious of Him, want to be like the Lord, the Supreme Lord, then just immediately one will descend into the material world. So, material world is a place that was created for people. I would say those who are defiant. In the spiritual world, everybody, render service to the Supreme. Nobody is rebellious. And the Supreme is worshipped as one without a second. Then everybody renders service to Him. But somehow or the other, the moment the giver just have the desire, either out of envy, then it has to come into material world. It's only in the material world that one can exhibit such propensity. So in the material world, we want to be the head of the family, we want to be the head of the community, we want to be the richest, we also want to be the most powerful. And all these various attributes is only for Krishna Himself. So, in an attempt to lord it over material nature, then that's the source of all our problems. Just like somebody who is swimming against the direction of the river. The river is flowing downwards and you are swimming upwards. So, of course, with such an endeavor, one will be met with frustration. So, Krishna consciousness or devotional service is an attempt to make the living entities come back to their senses, come back to the reality that they are eternal servants of the Supreme Lord. And that's his own real constitutional position. Until we come to this reality, then we can engage in devotional service of the Supreme Lord. And then this human form of life, the living entities have opportunity to take 8.4 million different type of species, different type of bodies, but among which 400,000 is for the human being. So the form of human being is a very rare form, and one should take the opportunity to re-spiritualize himself and then they take the advantage and going back to God, going back to the spiritual world where it really truly belongs. So because of this, Christian is making all efforts because he's very, very eager that we come back home. He's not so much happy that the living entities that we are struggling so much in this material world. So, Christian stated that whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice and the predominant rise of irreligion, that it descends, which means Krishna is very eager that we come back home. He's very anxious. So sometimes he will come by himself, sometimes he send his representatives just to give all this knowledge of Bhakti Yoga. And Krishna also stated that Bhaktiya Maham Abhijananti, that it can only be known by devotional service. So, and what's the process of devotional service? It's chanting the holy name, remembering, rendering service, worshipping the deities, and so on and so forth. Rendering services, making offerings, and prayers to the Supreme Lord. So when we engage in this practice, Krishna is very pleased with us. And this is the only way we can attain liberations from the pangs of material miseries. So we should come to the realization or to the understanding that the Supreme Lord is the supreme person, and only Him can deliver us from the miseries of this material world. But the problem of the jivas is that when they come into this material world, they forget by the influence of Maya, and then they try to exploit material nature. So, at all thanks to our spiritual masters who was able to save us from the clutches of Maya. So Maya is very, very powerful. Like Krishna said, he said, Daivihi Isa Guna Mayi, Mama Maya, Duratya, Mahamikam, that is, this divine energy of mine, which consists of the three modes of material nature, is very, very difficult to overcome. But those who surrender unto me can easily cross beyond. So this phenomenon of Maya is there. When we look into the Srimad Bhagavatam, the time of creation, when Lord Brahma was about to carry out the second creation of the material manifestations. So the first thing is created is Maya, illusion. Because the situation is such that it's like taking somebody from America and you now put him in a village, one local village. Of course, that person is not going to be very, very happy. Even he can commit suicide due to frustration. So, because of this situation, Lord Brahma created Maya. That was the first thing he created, so that even though we're in this material world, but we still have the feelings that we're enjoying, and we're so much attached to it. For instance, if now tell you that, okay, how many people wants to go to the spiritual world or to heaven? I'm sure everybody will say yes, they are ready. But if they now tell you that, okay, the spaceship is outside, everybody should take advantage. Nobody will be ready to go now. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. So that's the nature of Maya. It's still giving us some psychological satisfaction. After all, I'm enjoying. And we keep hoping against hope. But material world is a place full of miseries and it's temporary. Kalaya Asasu account. So we should be concerned about what is permanent, not what is temporary. So the material creation itself is a shadow reflection of the spiritual world. And when you have a shadow reflection, it's temporary, it's not real. But the reality is in the spiritual world. So we should not forget ourselves, and we should take this process of Bhakti Yoga very seriously, so that possibly in this lifetime we can attain the liberation and we can journey back home, back to Godhead. So, Hare Krishna.
Hare.
So, any questions or comments? Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sabha Loka Maheshwaram Suridam Sabha Bhutanam Jantva Mahasantim Richati. The person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerity, the supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attain peace from the pangs of material miseries. Hare Krishna.
Hare.
So any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Well, we don't question Hare Krishna for this Maya.
Okay.
That is the elusiveness
Yeah.
of this but that is why, because the material world has to do with anything that is devilish.
Yeah.
That is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But why was this
Maya
material world created? Why was it created?
Okay, that's a good question. Why it was created? Like I was explaining earlier, you know, it's the desire of the living entity, the jivas. You know, since we are fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we also have some minute independence. The Supreme Lord is supremely independent. And since we are part and parcel, we also have some minute independence. So we try to exercise this type of independence. It's just like somebody who wants to go on an adventure. Okay, look at the situation. Let me calm down. Look at the situation of prodigal son. You know, we all know that story in the Bible. You know, the father has these two sons, and of course, they engage in the service of the father. But at a point in time, one of the sons decided that he wants to be on his own. He wants to live a life of his own. So you can see the level of desires. So, because he's entitled to some freedom or to some liberty. So the father gave him the opportunity, you know, to live a life of his own. So what happens? He left, and the father gave him whatever that is necessary for him. He went. When he went, what happens? The desire is ultimately to engage, to enjoy himself separately from the father. So of course, he was engaged in sense gratification. Drinking, smoking, womanizing, you know, the material enjoyment, you know. And he's enjoying that freedom from the father. So, but after some time, he exhausted all his resources because he has been disconnected from the father or from the source. You understand? So because of that, his resources became dwindled. And at a point, he started struggling with swines, you know, food that is meant for pigs. But he was commended at the point that, at a point, he came to his senses and said, hey, what is happening to me? He could remember his father at that time. And he now said, even his father's servant, their life is better than his life. So he has to go back home. And on coming back home, the father welcomed him. He welcomed him. So that's the situation. So the reason is that it's our own desire. It's what we want. You know, it's just like a child. Like I used to say, if you are not careful, your child can easily take your car key and make an attempt to drive. Even though sitting inside, you could not even see outside. So what will the father do? The best thing the father can do now is to go and buy a toy car for the child. And the child will have the same satisfaction as if he's driving a real car. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. So that is why the reason why this material world was created. So that we can exhibit our whatever and whatever. But by the time we come back to our senses, then we know that what we are doing here is just a child's play. Then at that moment, we are ready to go back home and back to God. Hare Krishna. Any other question? Haribo, Prabhu.
Sometimes we people in this material world feel that the ultimate thing we can do here is to enjoy our life. After that, nothing else again. So what do you have to say to convince people that after this material world, we are already creating our next life?
Okay. Okay. So the question is that some people believe that living in this place is to enjoy.
Is to enjoy life.
Yes. So how do you convince such a big person? Yes, because like I earlier explained, the material world is created for sense gratification. You know, because that is what we desire coming here. So, but all attempts to enjoy, we see that it's met with frustrations. Even though we struggle so hard, but at the end of the day, we discover that, you know, usually we think when we are rich, we become happy. You know, just like, it was a story of Muhammad Ali, which was spoken by our spiritual master, our Guru Dev. So, he said when he was young, you know, he believed that he was living in the ghetto, and ghetto life, you know, wasn't the best type of life. So he said he was thinking that, okay, by the time he becomes rich, then he'll be very, very happy. But now when he becomes rich and very popular, he now discovered that he's not happy. That happiness he was desiring, he's not getting it at all. And he was even saying that he wished that he could be free like when he was young. Because by the time he becomes rich, he has lost his freedom. He has to be disguising up and down. Because once people know this man, a lot of people will rally around him. Then one day our Guru Dev visited him very early in the morning. As early as very early, maybe 6 or so, or less than that. So he now met his friend Muhammad Ali. He was complaining. He said, look at himself now. He's just waking up, but outside there are a lot of people wanting to see him. Many people. He said not because they love him, but because of money. It's because of money. You see? So, whatever attempts that we make in this world for happiness, we can never be happy in this material world because we are spiritual entity. And then everything in this world is temporary. If you buy the latest vehicle now, then after some time, another one will come out also. That one becomes an old model. Then you want to aspire again. So the situation is just like a mirage. You know, sometimes when you have the animals in the desert, you know, due to the total internal reflection, there's a phenomenon like that, total internal reflection. You know, when you are in the desert, you'll be looking like a pool of water in the front. So sometimes animals, when they are very thirsty, they chase this thing, they chase this water, this mirage. They chase it vigorously until they collapse. So that's the nature of material life. When you chase happiness or satisfaction, you discover that you are frustrated. So it's only devotional service. You know, we should understand that Krishna is the only beneficiary and well-wisher of all living entities. And that is the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods. You know, so, no matter how much we try, we cannot get the real satisfaction in this material world. Because we are spiritual entities. We are not material. And then, like you said, materially, out of ignorance, people believe that when they die, that's the end of it. So why are you not enjoying yourself? Why are you not enjoying yourself? So it's a very mundane philosophy because when you die, you take another body. The life is not ending. It's not ending. So I don't know if I answer your question, but
you're right, sir.
thank you. Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments? So it's just due to ignorance. We think we can be the richest man in this world, but it doesn't guarantee you peace or happiness. It doesn't guarantee you. Look at Buhari, President Buhari. He struggled to become the president of Nigeria. But at the end of the day, towards the end, he was counting days when he will leave. Because he discovered that he could not satisfy everybody. People could not be satisfied. He made attempt especially to satisfy his people. And it's people that spoiled his government by misbehaving. So he was frustrated. You see? So it's only devotional service that one can get the real happiness. So we need this knowledge, transcendental knowledge. Thank Krishna for the opportunity of our spiritual master. If not for our spiritual master, there is no way we can understand this truth. There is no way we can take to this path. Or there is no way we can understand this path. So,
Krishna, it's like a contribution.
yeah.
When it comes to, like the question Prabhu asked,
Yeah.
that question is a very simple but tough question because, in fact, there are some people, because of some philosophies or some paths they are following,
Yeah.
no matter what you try to explain to them, they will never see it that way. They will tell you that if it is some sect in Christendom, they will tell you that anybody that dies remain until when the returning of Christ or waiting.
Yeah.
You can never convince those kind of people. And even the mystery surrounding life itself
Yeah.
can never convince. Not until they have their own personal experience about life.
Okay. You are very correct. But you see, to come to devotional service, you can never get to it unless you come across a devotee or a representative of a spiritual master. Beyond that, there is no way you can come to devotional service. Just to buttress your point, you know, because it's just the situation. You can never come come here or understand devotional service. And like you said, there are different philosophies. Ordinary philosophy is that enjoy yourself. Who tell you, who died and wake up and tell you there is a life after death? Once you die, that's the end. So the best thing is to enjoy yourself. That's the best thing. So all these there is God, nobody has seen God. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about? So it's only our spiritual master that gave us, the opportunity to understand that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. And when you look at the process of how one comes into the material world, the process is that when a male and female they mate, then through the sperm of the male, it enters into the female ovum, and from there the things start developing. So they are living entities who are eager to come into the material world, but only through that process, from the male to the female, then they take their body. So that's the process of how the spiritual enters into the material body. And they start growing up, growing. So they forget that they are spiritual entities, then they start identifying with material bodies. I'm a black man, I'm African, I'm a rich man, I'm a poor man. So we see things only on material perspective. So it's only a spiritual master, by their mercy, who can understand or who can follow this process, without which it's not possible. Nobody can be convinced. But we have some spiritual masters who are so potent enough, and easily they can transform other living entities.
Well, the issue of spiritual masters.
Okay.
These days, or even before now,
Yeah.
there have been in existence many spiritual masters.
Yeah.
Now, how can we actually know a true spiritual master?
Okay, a true spiritual master.
Yes.
Yes, it's very, very important. Because there are a lot of imposters, people going, we have some bogus people, and materially, there is tendency that one can choose a wrong spiritual master. Especially when you see things on the material perspective. There are some people who are very, very rich, and because of that, one could take them as a bona fide spiritual masters. But to know a real bona fide spiritual master is that himself must have a master. And then we have about 4 different sampradayas. So we must see that, I think we are following the Brahma Sampradaya. So we must be able to trace back the spiritual master and see that he's coming in a bona fide chain. Yes, param. Bona fide chain of discipline succession. The process of param. So they follow each other. So that's the only way. But if somebody doesn't follow all this param, it just emerges like in these days. Someone can just come up and say, yes, God has called him. And then people start following him. Maybe because he has money or he has some mystical powers that he can perform. Then you see people following him. So you don't follow people like that. Another way to know a bona fide spiritual master is that he will give you responsibility that you'll be able to perform. Even though ordinarily you might think you won't be able to perform it, but when he gives you the instruction, you will see that because it's going to empower you also, and you'll be able to achieve it. There was a time, a story of Srila Prabhupada, when he sent one of his disciples to post office. On Sunday like this, he go and post a letter without stamp. So when he told his disciple, they almost laughed. say
They laugh.
they laugh. They actually laugh. Okay, Prabhuji, today is Sunday. Now, how do you expect us to post a letter today? You know, he said you should go. You should go. So they left because you don't have to disobey the instruction of your spiritual master. So they went, and on getting there, behold, they saw the postmaster. He came to the office. Maybe he forgot to. He came out to take something in his office, and he saw them. So he now asked them, gentlemen, what do you want? What do you want? They said, this letter. I said, okay. And he brought out his stamps, he gave it to them, and they were able to post the letter. So that's the symptom of a bona fide spiritual master. He will never give you an instruction that you will be unable to achieve. So that's how to move. And then a bona fide spiritual master will live by example.
Let me say something.
Okay.
The issue of parampara,
Okay.
that you say,
Yeah.
there are instances of such,
Okay.
like the one that happened. There is this line of this Rawat.
Okay.
You may not know, but when the father, he was a spiritual master.
Okay.
When the father left the body, the disciples were wondering who is going to be their spiritual master. The youngest among them, he has 4 boys.
Okay.
The youngest now stood up and started claiming being a spiritual master.
Yeah.
And in fact, immediately he started performing
Miracles.
miracles. Now, later, the other siblings were fighting him.
Yes, sir.
The
They be
elders,
jealous.
yes, fighting him that he is not the real spiritual master. That they are the real spiritual. This
Yeah.
one. At the point, all of them
Because they are older than him.
yes, all of them became gurus.
Gurus.
And yes, and in fact, the very first person, they used to call him baby guru then.
Yeah.
He started when he was very small.
Yeah.
Now left to Europe, from Europe to America. At the point, he now got married to his secretary. So when all these events took place, he gave the brothers room for them to say that he was not
the real
master.
Yeah.
Now, even in this our way,
Yeah.
there are some people that I believe spiritual master is being ordained spiritually.
Yeah.
I don't so for me, I don't so believe the physical ordination of spiritual master. If I may digress,
Okay.
the issue of what is happening in Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Many people are going for father because of the enjoyment
That is there.
that is there. They are not born father. Any born body that is a born father that is to serve God, servant of God, you know that his way will be unique.
Yeah.
Just like you said earlier, which
Yeah.
is I really take that one. You are living an exemplary life.
Yeah,
you are devotee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many of those fathers are not living exemplary life. So equally, some spiritual masters,
Yeah.
they may come from Paripara, but you need to see them. Bravo, it may just be physical convocation or whatsoever.
Yeah. Externally.
Yes, but the inside is they are not spiritual masters.
Yes. You see, Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Sorry. That's why the Bible said, by their fruit,
You shall know them.
sometimes you see people shouting, fasting, 30 days fasting, this days fasting. They are not the real, they may not be the real person needed. Just to cajole people so that people will not believe that, yes, don't you see that father or that Prabhu, he doesn't eat at all. And that one does not make you a good servant of God. As he stated in the Gita, a good servant of God must live according to the instruction of Krishna. If you are not living by the instruction given from the Gita, that means you are not Okay, for example, we have many now. Where I live at present, every blessed morning, I must see this man in a river. He's a pastor. In a river. What is he doing in the river? Seeking for power, man-made power. So that you can be lifted and people will hey. And one day, I have been seeing the man. One day something said, ask this man. I just said, sorry to
interrupt
into your devotion. Please, why do you come here every blessed day? He said, man, not here, y'all. Do you get that? He knows that I have already known what he desired. He said, man, not here, y'all. And he said, man of God, if God has really ordained you as a pastor, as a priest, as a devotee,
even as a guru.
As a guru, you don't need all those sacrifice again. You are seeking for power. Krishna said, I live in every man's heart. Say, for me comes remembrance, forgetfulness, and everything. If you say, okay, I have no Krishna, but you are not working according to the will of Krishna, you are a deceit. You are deceiving people.
Yeah.
They are, the Gita says, they are pretenders. Because of what they want to eat, what they want to achieve,
sense gratification.
Sense gratification, they have deceived many. At long run, you discover that they always shout, what? I don't know. Because they have deceived so many souls. The Bible mentioned it also.
Mention it.
Yes.
He said, evil and adulterous generations seek after miracles and signs.
Miracles and signs, wonders, everything they want to see. You know, this is our generation now. That's why Gita said it is a degraded time.
Yeah.
This time we are degraded time.
Age of Kali Yoga.
Kali is hunting very, very fast. That is why anywhere you go now, you see people, they want to see. If you are not doing miracle in your church, you won't see people. And the best people that will promote you, they are women. You know, women, they can easily be turned.
Marriage.
Their head can be immediately. If you mention that, hey, that woman coming, you are coming here because of the problem in the family. You see, that woman will not be convincing people, her mates. Let us go to that church. The man can see, the man can do this.
Sri Jagannath Balade Subharaki.
Yeah.
Jai Nitai Guranga Ki.
Yeah. So, because of all these things, we don't really know who is a man of God. I used to ask, even in my present place of work, sometimes my spirit will be telling me, don't mind that man. Don't mind that man. Sometimes I used to ask, I say, So they will be the best clapper in the service. They dance, they shed tears,
they talk in tongues,
they roll on the ground. Still, their consciousness is like what the Bible described that you know, a bottle of honey, we have honey inside. It's like they are licking the back of that bottle. They are not relishing anything. So the activities are Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you.
I got one of the attributes of a guru is to perform miracles. Is that or not a part of the function of the guru?
Okay. Hare Krishna. You see, in devotional service, you don't, the objective is not to perform miracles. Just like the one I explained to you, a guru sends somebody to post office. Is the letter not posted? You understand? But that's not the main thing. He said in the Bible now, they said, seek first the kingdom of God, then other things are added. A spiritual master is potent, but that's not the main thing. Nobody's interested in mystic yoga, because that's hypocrisy. This age of Kali Yoga is nicknamed age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So that's why you see so many people advertising themselves as the man of God. I'm the man of God. So it's a show. And what Prabhu is telling you is that you have to investigate yourself. It's private life.
Know thyself.
You have to investigate the person himself. It's private life. Is he really doing what he said? And nobody can imagine. You must have a master. Even materially speaking. If you say you're a mechanic now, you go and give your car to the mechanic who is not bona fide, you didn't train anywhere. He will spoil your vehicle, isn't it? He will spoil your vehicle. But if you look for somebody who is bona fide, how do you know somebody is bona fide? You have to investigate his master. And his master must be bona fide. And he must have served the master. Then, when you see somebody who is spiritual, he's no more interested in sense gratification. He lives a simple life. It's not that time you'll be hustling to buy a jet or wearing fancy clothes or flashy things. All those things are material. So a spiritual person is renowned. He's renowned. He's only interested in Krishna.
And in the process, he could only perform those miracles, mystic something.
You are interested in mystics. You see, there is no miracle than turning somebody to be to become Krishna conscious. Just like we told you, that is not easy. For someone to become Krishna conscious, it's not easy. It's a miracle to turn somebody to follow this path, because people are interested in sense gratification. How can you tell somebody not to drink beer again? Somebody who has been drinking beer, he said you should not drink beer. Somebody who has eaten meat, he said you should not eat meat. Illicit sex, you should not have sex with anybody. Intoxicant. So it's difficult. So to turn somebody is a miracle on its own. It's the greatest miracle you can imagine. All those mystic things. Anybody can do mystic. It's a metaphysical science now.
Yes, metaphysical.
It's metaphysical. There is nothing extraordinary about it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, actually, gurus, they are not after, they themselves, they are not after miracles or wonders. But the disciples or the audience, they are after that. There is no outstanding guru that the world of today follows that has not expressed or shown a spiritual potency in form of wonders. We are talking about Krishna, a lot of things in Krishna's pastime, what Krishna has been doing. We are talking about Jesus, what has promoted Jesus to today, it's the wonders that he did. But actually, Jesus as a master did not value those things. He did it for the people to see the power. Now, there is an instance of...
Mind you, we cannot imitate God.
Yes. There is an instance of is it Peter also that he met where fishing this thing on fishing in the river. He met those people had slept how many days throughout the night they could not. When he met him, he made possible for them to have to catch fish. But you know that for them, they believe having met someone like this that have made them to catch all these things that they've been trying, they couldn't. That means this man has power, and perhaps their insight, interior reason was that they'll follow him so that they'll be able to be having. But you know, having done that, he got it. He now tells them, say, immediately he just performed it. It was like a showcase, so as for them to know the kind of person he is. He now told them that I will make you people what? Fishers of what?
Fishers of men.
Fishers of men.
And they renounce their work.
But if not that, if he did not do that, Peter then they wouldn't have followed Jesus. So they wouldn't have. That is just the reality.
Yeah.
So any spiritual master doesn't actually see miracles or wonders like anything.
Let me tell you, when you gather people due to miracle, even Jesus, he had problem thereafter. When he created the miracle, people start following him. You see, material things. You know, when people follow you for if you look at this our movement, a lot of people come to this our movement. By the time they have money, we don't see them again. You see, when you pursue material things, spiritual life is different from material life. Many people come to this temple, they make prayer, they follow the process. The moment they see material things, money, we are not. Am I not correct, Papa? How many can you remember?
Many will disappear. Many are gone.
Once the money comes, you are not seeing them. So material things, if you use material things to lure people, miracle to lure people, it won't be. They will go. They will go. So until and you need the mercy of Krishna to continue in this process. It's not a material process at all, it's spiritual. We are not material bodies, we are spiritual entities. And if you follow devotional service, everything that surrounds you is miracle. That's what Krishna is making us to understand. He said he's the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerity, the supreme love of all planets and demigods. There is nothing God cannot do for you. When you turn to Him, God is just like a witness to our activities. He doesn't interfere in our mundane activities. But when you approach Him, then He can intervene. But ordinarily, He's not going to intervene. But when you involve Him in your day-to-day life, then you see the miracle takes place. Like Prabhu was saying, God said that I'm inside, I'm situated in every living entity. Savasari this and it is told that I'm situated in everyone's heart as the super soul. And from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. And by all the Vedas, I'm to be known that is supreme. Yes, and that is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra, and then is the knower of all the Vedas. So what else do you need to know? So the rest is just beating about the bush. You are following on bona fide spiritual master, because anybody can perform miracles. Babala will do a lot of miracles. There are mystic yogis who can do everything.
They can turn this house to be a one room something. So
It doesn't make a good view master.
Hare Krishna.
My own question is, I want to ask, I've been thinking about it, and I want to know, how can I achieve this Bhagava? I always come across it in books that I read, Krishna books, that achieving Bhagava. How do I achieve Bhagava? For the benefit myself and everybody.
What you can become is to achieve not Bhagava.
Yeah.
Brahman, the state of Brahman.
Yeah, Brahman, yes.
I'm trying to. So it is about that is, you see, they said anybody who engages in devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once achieve, at once overcome the three modes of materiality, and then achieves the state of Brahman. So I'm trying to remember the quotation. So somebody who engages in devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances.
Unfailing.
Yes.
In all.
Yes. Yes. Then it will transcend the influence of the three modes of materiality, and as then be elevated to the state of Brahman, spiritual level. So that's the condition.
I do not get it.
I'm trying to look the verse.
You see, to achieve a peaceful, let me just give it a name, a peaceful mind. If you want a peaceful mind, you know we are in this material world. And sometimes we see we are all sinners. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
We are all sinners.
Yes.
None of us.
Yes.
Yes. From your house today now to this place,
Yeah.
how many people did you say, okay, follow me to the temple?
They won't come. Tell you.
Your assumption.
Assumption. You've already made up your mind.
You already got in your mind. And you want to be at a state of Brahman.
Yeah. Brahma, yes. Brahma status.
Okay.
That's what
That means you have to start from your inner heart. You develop it from your inner heart. And that will make people will be seeing you as a different person. Among others. They see you as a different person.
Already
Therefore, yes,
already see that.
where you are even hiding yourself.
Nisre Jagannath Balade Subharaki.
Yeah.
Jai Nitai Gauranga Ki.
Yeah. You see, sometimes you don't do as a man of God. You don't do as a man of God. Nobody knows you at all. But if among the audience who had that spirit of God in him can come to you and pick you out, say, this man is a man of God. Do you know that?
Yeah.
That means your stage you have advanced above more than those around you there. So, developing a mind of God is that you must walk hand in hand with Krishna. That's what we said. How do you walk hand in hand with Krishna?
Yeah.
We talk about it. That's why Prabhupada said, if you want to speak, nobody deprive you from speaking. He said, don't speak nonsense. That means whatever comes out of your mouth, your heart, should be a thing that can edify Krishna. If you are not saying something that edifies Krishna, that means you are speaking nonsense. You are not talking about Krishna. So you must speak the things that edify Krishna and edify those who hears that, to keep them up, to say, okay, this is Krishna.